Okay, we are back to Piano 101. So you've never seen a piano before, let's get into it.
So on our 88 key keyboard, we are going to start by finding middle C. You can see that I have C, yes, that's a pun, marked right here. And the reason it's called middle C is because it is pretty much smack dab in the middle of my keyboard. You can also double check that you found the right one by matching the pitch. There you go, that's middle C. Now, the white notes are all arranged in alphabetical order. We have A to G, right? So I'll put the notes up on the screen, but starting over here, we have starting at A. Okay, so like that's the alphabetical order. You'll notice I have two other notes marked on my keyboard other than just middle C, right? So middle C is kind of for finding your initial position, home base. The reason I have F marked over here, right? So if we start at C, we've got C, D, E, F, is because when we get into reading sheet music on our treble clef, F is the first open note on the staff there. You can see right there if I zoom in. Similarly, for our bass clef for our piano, A is the first note on the staff here, so that's why I've got these particular notes marked on my piano for my students. The other thing I want to talk about is our black keys. So you might notice we did A, B, C, D, etc. But what about these? These are, our black notes are either sharps or flats. What a sharp means is that we are going up the keyboard in that direction. So if I say C sharp, that means I need to go up to this black note. However, let's go to D. Let's say if I were to say D flat, flats go in that direction. So if I say D flat, that means I'm going to go to this black note. Now you might be saying, Julia, doesn't that mean that C sharp and D flat are the same notes? That is absolutely correct. Good catch. That is just how they work. We'll get into that later, but that's pretty much what you need to know for now. The other thing that I like to share as kind of an introductory thing is the difference between half steps and whole steps. So any two notes that are right next to each other on the piano are considered a half step. This is what that sounds like. You're actually probably pretty familiar with what that sounds like. Right? That's a half step. Now, if we were to go a whole step, what that means is that it is actually two keys away. So instead of this half step, we're going to the next note for what is called a whole step. Now listen to that. That's a whole step. That's what the beginning of our scales often start with. But listen to the difference so you can kind of get used to. This is a half step. And then this is a whole step. Now, the next thing you might be saying is, Julia, what happens over here, right? So we have C, D, E, F. E and F are two white notes that are right next to each other. Same rules apply. If they are right next to each other, it's a half step. And if you listen to that, you'll also hear it too. Can you hear how this interval is the same as this? Different notes, but the same distance in the sound. Versus, so remember this is E, versus if I wanted to do a whole step from E, I would have to do. And you can kind of hear how the sound between these two is bigger than the sound between these two.
That was a super quick introduction to piano keys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.